Spirit and your plans. Help us to know when to stop and listen for your direction. Your ways are perfect, Heavenly Father. Thank you for offering gentle grace, a peaceful and loving community, and a life worthy of its calling. As we begin to take steps in the direction of our purpose this evening, we ask that you give us wisdom. We ask in faith that, as your word promises us, that you will give us wisdom in every small and large decision as we just step into the purpose of our work. May you just continue to bless the leaders of our community, our path, the commission, the staff, all that come before you tonight. We thank you that you don't have to rely on our own understanding, and that we know that your wisdom will guide us to our exact purpose. Thank you, and thanks for what has come before the throne, and we can ask you, Father, for anything. We ask for your guidance. We thank you for the gift and discernment of your power through the Holy Spirit. In your precious holy name, amen.
Amen.
Would you please join me in the flag salute? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 of the minutes. You should have received the minutes in your packet and have reviewed them.
Move to approve.
Second.
So we have 5-1. Yeah, with one except the names are screwed up because I'm in the mayor's place. All right, so we're back to item 4, and before we move into item 4, we're going to kind of reconvene back to where we were with the comments, Grant, you made, and then you were fixing to hand it over to someone, and we're going to allow you to make your comments, and then we'll go in, stay in public discussion, and we have the list of the folks that have signed up for public discussion. We'll just go ahead and do all of that before the awards and presentations. So you have the floor, sir. Identify yourself. And
my name is Kenyon Hughes, and I've been the director of EGRT for 5 years now. So I've been here prior to Grant, before he was president and everything like that. And I've saw the issues that are having at these fields for 5 years. We've talked about them for 5 years. I had meetings with City Manager Gerald Wheeler, Assistant City Manager Scott Morris, 2 years ago about some of these issues. So it's not like they're just kind of coming out of the blue. These issues have been here. Keep saying that some stuff's going to get done, nothing's getting done on these items. Few stuff, very little stuff has, some stuff has not. I'm not sure how many of you have actually drove by this park in the past 3.5, 4 weeks down Oxford and just looked that way. But you guys want to do a state-of-the-art soccer complex. We got David Allen over here. We got run down Crossland Park. I didn't have time to put folders and all that other stuff together. But this right here shows 3.5 foot tall vines and weeds growing up on a field that is right off of Oxford, where 90% of the people enter. I had a tournament 2 weekends ago, the out-of-town tournament, which Grant mentioned. Just like that. What does that show? How Enid takes care of their stuff. It shows that we don't care. During the tournament, I couldn't even get an American flag put up. Poor. I messaged some city worker, said, hey, do you think by next day we can get a flag put up? No response. When it comes to some of the field issues we have, a lot of it's the drainage issues and things like that. We have base issues there. Our bases there are offset. They're slanted. They're not straight. They're not level from all the dirt and the grass and everything else that's washed out from under them. They're slanted. So when the kids running around there, they're hitting the slant part of the bag. Some are rolling their ankles. Some are falling down. That's the run across it. This has been taken to parks managers before. They were not corrected. We have issues with bases turning in their holders. Multiple issues, to the point where we had a volunteer come out, and underneath all these bases out there across them, there's 3-inch welded rebar stakes under these bags to hold them in the ground to keep from spinning, because we can't even get the base anchors replaced. They're that horrible. If they dig them up to move them because there's an issue, they put the same horrible base anchor back in. This makes us look terrible as a community. I no longer have a son playing in this league. I'm here for the youth of Enid. All right? I'm their voice right now. Where these fields are and the conditions they are, they're unsafe. The wooden bat tournament I had, the cities come out, they worked the fields, they did that part of it. My games start at 9 a.m. the next morning. They know what times they start. I give them my schedule. At 10 o'clock, the city trash truck shows up to drive through my park full of young kids and parents walking around to dump trash cans. I stopped him. That's ridiculous. Could have come in the middle of the night when the other workers were there. All right, we could have, hey, roll them outside, we'll dump them all, we'll get them back in. I stopped him. It's to the point now where I have to go out there and check these fields to make sure they are safe. I go out there, I find open holes where they have dug up water lines in front of bleachers. Nothing red taped off, no barricades, nothing put up. You've got 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10s, 12s, parents, grandparents walking around there that could easily fall in that. I don't want that on my back. They work on the water lines out there, and they go shut the water off. They leave the water cover off on the ground for people to fall in, that I have to go and put back in and look at. I look at it every time I'm out there. I work a full-time job. I get off when I get off from work, I haul to the fields to make sure these fields are ready to go, because I cannot trust the work that the city's doing on them. We show up, they haven't been worked, chalk's been put down. Have any of you guys ever slid on concrete? That's what happens in these fields if you don't work them right. They go to concrete. Kids are getting strawberries, kids are getting hurt. They don't want to play the game anymore. They're crying, "Mommy, I'm done." I'm hearing about it. When it rains, the city goes out there. This last rainstorm that really got me. Somebody went out there, sent me pictures at 12:30 in the afternoon. Mine, they get there between 7:30 in the morning. The field still has standing water on. The fields were not pumped off. They had started on some fields, but the maintenance wasn't done. Now, I know everybody's shorthanded right now. I know it's hard to come by. There's 2 guys out there. But when a situation comes up and you're trying to get some stuff done, what are you gonna do? You're gonna put resources to where you need them the most. I mean, all the rain and stuff you had, you're not gonna be out there mowing. The mowing crews are not gonna be doing that stuff, things like that. I mean, it's called delegate. Where you need help, send help out there. I mean, there's 2 guys that take care of my 8 fields. There's 2. All right? I know how long it takes them to chalk fields. It takes them 3 hours to chalk them and work them. They have a pretty good pattern now. But some of this other stuff right here that's not being taken care of, what are they doing for the other hours of their day? I know some. All right? There's cameras out there on my office. So I can see when the city shows up, when the city leaves, and what they do inside the park. I'm not here to talk bad about anybody out there. They're tired. I mean, they work just like everybody else out in the heat all day long to do stuff. But it comes a time now, we need to step up. We need to do something for our youth. We're doing something for soccer. We have David Allen downtown for the older kids for baseball. And like Grant said, it's been like 30 years since improvements have been done. 30 years. These are your youth. And if you don't think you have problems right now getting youth off their cell phones away from a TV or a tablet, you're wrong. But they don't want to go play in something like that. Number 1 complaint I get from coaches I call from out of town. They don't want to come play here. Kenyon, you can put decent tournaments on. We like it. Your fields are unsafe. That's hurting. I hear revenue. Revenue. What does this program do for revenue? How does it bring revenue into the city, into Enid? Well, just to give you an idea, in my league, Alva is in it. Fairview's in it. Hennessy's in it. Wacomas is in it. Palm Creek's in it. You don't think some of the people who come here, because I know Alva does, after every game they go eat. They got to have gas because there ain't nothing open in Alva by the time they get done at 9 o'clock at night. There's revenue coming in. Now, as much as David Allen? No. Could it be? Yes. If we get a little help on it. I've been here for 5 years. I've saw very little improvement on how our fields of play are. The drainage is horrible. They still don't drain. There's still lips. The exact same issues we had 5 years ago, I had pictures of, we still have today. We can't get the fields work correctly. I've got pictures here of grass growing up in our base paths. On a baseball field, they chalk right over it. Have some pride in your community. Have some pride in what you're wanting to do for Enid. You know, these are little things, but these little things lead to big things. So that's all I have to say. I just wanted you guys to think about it. Think about our youth. Think about where they're at right now. Through COVID and all that stuff, getting back out in the community and everything. Think about cell phones. My son loves his cell phone. We need to get kids more active within our community. If we're wanting to build our school programs in this community, we need better facility. And what we have right now is not it. So, as the director of UDRT for the past 5 years, which I am actually stepping down at the end of next spring, which will be the end of next June, I'd like to see something done. I'd like to see something from you guys and hear from you guys. Reach out. I mean, I saw the improvements you guys have done. We split costs. We did a fence. This Parks Department, city paid for a fence. We did a fence, city paid for a fence. Through this whole time when I come and spoke to you two, I said multiple times, if there's anything you guys needed that you guys couldn't acquire, contact me and I'll see if EJRT can provide it. You know how many times I've been reached out to? None. All right, I see the concrete poured to the T-ball fields, but I also see it's done wrong. If we're gonna do it, let's do it correct. When it was formed up, I went out there while they were forming it. Why are you guys gonna pour this 3 inches higher than grade back here for no drainage? Well, that's what we're doing. Guess what? They did it, and every time it rains, it floods the field. The problem was brought up before there was an issue. It wasn't corrected. It wasn't listened to. And that's what we've been getting for 5 years, not being listened to. I'm speaking for all the kids in my league, the 57 teams that play this sometimes, the over 800 kids, the over 500 games that I'm out there Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for the past 5 years. I saw it out there. I have saw no improvement. So I challenge all you guys, let's make improvement for our community and our youth. Thank you.
Any commissioners want to respond? This was part of our study session before we move into the other comments.
Yeah, well, this is what you're spot on. Thank you for coming. I sit on the park board. I've taken pride in being on the park board. I started in 94. It was a previous administration that determined that we needed to have instead of just a parks department, we needed to have a parks and rec department. And then that was a failure. It never happened. We never saw anybody come in and take over that rec part. Now, one of the things that happened during that time was 2 different things. One, a judge told us that we had to improve our parks and big toys. So that's what you saw. Enid get all the parks got big toys and handicap accessibility and some things like that. Yet bathrooms weren't improved. And then the second thing was that they wanted to have, it came up that they wanted to build a big complex out east of Enid, out by that boys market in that area over there. The citizens of Enid soundly rejected that offer. I took it as meaning let's take care of what we got. But it seemed like other people maybe felt like, well, they just don't care at all if they don't want something shiny and new. What's the use in taking care of old stuff? In '94, when I joined the park board and the years after that, most of the facilities in Enid had been built as a public-private partnership. So what you saw, let's take for instance at Crossland, the Devereaux Fields. Those were not built at the time. Ray Devereaux was a parks guy, and so he would come up with money. The park board was funded back then. We would use funds and match them with groups like AMBUGS or EJRT, and we would build the facilities that you see now. So there would be a concession stand, bathrooms, maybe a place to store equipment, that kind of thing. Heck, I don't know if we've even painted them or anything since then. Roofs, I've gone out there, I've asked different groups before. They changed the complexion of the park board. It doesn't have any money. So it just meets once a month, and we hear some things, and real things that are going on aren't even brought to us. I plan on making a change in that as well. You deserve better than what you got. We need, it's beyond being able to fix. You need new in most instances, because those buildings, all that stuff is it's just miserable. The lighting, I know, is bad. One of the worst things is that we have not funded enough employees for the Parks Department because everything is stretched. But it's these kind of meetings, when people come and tell us they got dirty water in their neighborhood, we jump to it and we get something done about it. And this is important because it is our smallest children. And you can change those kids' lives by them deciding they're going to be a great baseball player, or they're going to really work hard to do their sport. And it gives it's like being in band. You got sports kids, you got band kids. Kids want to do well. And if we're not giving them those tools, then we're making a mistake. And this has been long coming, that somebody needed to have the character to stand up in front of us and say the things that you men have said tonight. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I've tried to give you a little bit of a background on where we were, try to tell you what has happened during that interim time. But what's happened in the since that previous administration has gone, I can't really describe to you where we lost, what we've lost. But that's embarrassing to see those weeds and stuff around the properties growing, and open sewage and trash, and there's a lot of coordinating that needs to go on. And we've started a little bit of talk about maybe having somebody that would be in the Parks Department that could help coordinate rec stuff, especially since you've got the thing going on with soccer and the thing going on with baseball, and then these other things. Maybe we can get somebody to help coordinate when the trash gets picked up, when the mowing gets done, and when the fields get properly treated, lined, whatever. I have already, the director of parks here in town has said that he will allow the parent groups to reline the fields and have access to the rakes and things like that. So that, so we can start that immediately, start getting some cooperation with the individual groups. I don't want to go into the exclusive use permits, and that it used to be that each group, little girls softball, had their own mowers and they had their own equipment, and the parents took care of those fields. They had ownership in those fields and they were treated nice. And it went the same thing through football and softball and all those kind of things. But when the city gathered it all in and said, we're going to take care of everything, we knew that it was going to be a learning curve, and that it was going to take time to get equipment together and all that. But by now, that should have been figured out. Or we got to figure out a different direction to go, and the easiest way to do things is to just take care of what we have.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Comment some more?
Springs
You want to comment some more?
Yeah, I was just, when this all split up, it's been, hey, you guys take care of this, you take care of this. The city's not, I think there's a communication issue somewhere along the line. We need a point man. And I don't know if that's the head of the Parks and Rec Department or what, but somebody from for now, somebody from EJRT needs to coordinate with the parks guy, and he needs to get down there. If we're in a labor shortage, let's get some contractors or let's find somebody to mow. I was just adding up the amount of money we spent on mowing, and I was at $2,000 or $3,000 about halfway down the list. If we need help mowing, let's get help mowing. Guys, we got to get it done. Yeah, and some of the things that he was mentioning, that's a liability issue. I mean, we got holes in the ground out there that aren't marked. Yeah, if a kid steps in there and breaks a knee or breaks a lower leg bone, we're gonna have issues, probably. But we need to make sure that that's coordinated, and if anybody's doing work out there, let's make sure it's safe. But as far as, it's near term, in the next year or two, we need to take care of what we've got, and we need to make sure we got a long-term plan. We need to get this fixed. And Jerry was right. It's been neglected for so long, and just like our streets have been neglected for so long, now we're behind the power curve, and we've got a lot of work to do. And I've got some ideas. I would love to be, if you guys need me to be more involved with it, I can certainly do that. If I'm going to give more time, I'd love to do something in this area. So you guys let me know what you need, and I'll be more than willing to help. But and my last comment is, man, these guys, you guys are impressive. All of our volunteers across the city are impressive. We've got a great resource here. We need to take care of them. If we decide to let these guys take it, we need to provide them what they need. Mowers, weed killer, whatever supplies they need to help take care of those fields. We need to at least make their job easy for now until we come up with a long-term solution, which I'm gonna probably hope by the end of this year, we have a long-term solution for Crossland. But we gotta take care of these guys and give them what they need, because if we start losing all of our commission volunteers, it's gonna be difficult. And we're making it hard for them. And when guys like you guys get frustrated and across the other commissions, then everybody just throws up their hands and said, man, I can't get anything done, I'm out of here. And then what happens? I don't even wanna think about it. But we're gonna lose a lot of stuff. So, thanks.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, both of you all, for Mr. Mason, and I didn't get the other gentleman's name, but thank you all for standing up, coming up here and being bold to speak the facts. I had no idea of any of this, and like Scott said, it was a little bit embarrassing, actually a lot. And there's a word that came to me is correlation. And the reason why I use that word is because our after-school programs for our children, for academics, we need to do something about that. And so many times, we get this response, well, government isn't set up to do that. But that's not true. That's false, because we, the people, are the government of the United States. And I'm glad that this happened. We have an academic need, and we also have a need for activities and sports for our youth. I have an uncle and aunt who are getting ready to move back to Oklahoma, and my aunt, all she asked me, I'm bringing my children. What is there to do here in Enid? There's a lot that can be done, but we just have to have a vision on what it is that needs to be done. And I believe the way we gain that vision is through the people speaking out to us, and not for us to have a blinded eye or a closed ear. I also believe that we need to create a children's coalition, and it did not come from me. If I had permission, I would say who brought this idea to me. You can wink at me if it's okay. Our chief of police. We talked about it, creating a children's coalition for our children. He loves children. We have great leaders here that care about children. And you're absolutely right. Our children are going to be sitting in these seats in the future, and if we don't take care of them, they're going to be in bad shape. And many times I observe the children, and they do have gadgets and instruments and technology and all these things, but I was just listening to my father and his friends at church as we sat down as a church and ate, And I just love the stories of how they were innovative, and even though they were poor, they were able to go get frames and put them together and make go-karts and get a lawnmower engine and put it on there and wrap a chain around it and go get a steering wheel from some old wrecked car, and they were flying down the street. These children today, they don't have that. They can pull it up on YouTube, but someone would have to make it for them because they don't know how. And it's important that we bring that back for their survival. So I just wanted to applaud both of you all for bringing this to our attention. Like I said, I was unaware of it, but there is a correlation in the need for our youth. So when it comes to after-school programs and funding after-school programs, let's stop talking about what we can't do, and let's start talking about what we're going to do. We need to do whatever it takes to take care of our children. And as I close, the children can't help themselves. It's up to the adults to help them. I know when I was a child, I couldn't go out and purchase anything because I didn't have a job. My parents and my grandparents had to do it. So as a governing body, whatever we can do to fix this situation, Scott, I'm on board. We need to do it. Thank you.
I'll just say that a good chunk of this could be resolved with communication. I think that, and that's easily done, doesn't cost money. I think that needs to be handled as soon as possible. And then I think what Scott said, having a multi-year game plan about how to bring it back to its prime. I think that's something that we need to do.
I understand the logistics between Crosland and Government Springs South. I know Derwin himself has worked on Government Springs South for many years because it sits on the east side of town. And we do have a lot of youth from the east side of town that uses Government Springs South. And to move all of that facilities up for the logistics part of it to Crosland, what's gonna happen to our youths that can't make it to Crosland? You know, something to take into consideration. We're gonna take away from that. I think we need to also build Government Springs South while we build Crosland too. I know it's logistic having the two separate areas, but this also on non-tournament days serves a community. It serves a large amount of community.
And I understand your concern, Keith, but sometimes when we talk about cost, it's better to have everything together, kind of like the soccer fields. I mean,
It's understandable,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we're, just to take a whole community's playing area on non-tournament days and to move it across town
yeah.
makes it difficult.
I would bet that it's not going to make a huge, significant difference, but we can look at it.
Yeah, I mean, we're only talking about 4.9 million total was with the numbers that we were projected on everything, you know, so, yeah. Just, I worry about the kids on my side of town too, being taken care of.
Thank you guys for bringing it to our attention. I like these guys, watch my kids play baseball up at the park. Recently, I took grandkids to Perry. They got an impressive park. And if we had something like that, I mean, and it's just amazing. And Cushing, I've been to Cushing in the last year and watched kids play baseball. Unbelievable park. And we need to up the ante and do something. So enough. We got several other people under public discussion. And I would hope that you'd limit for brevity of our meeting, your comments to a couple of minutes. Tyler Schroeder?
He left.
Okay. Mr. Saunders, James Saunders?
First of all, my name is James Saunders. I'm retired Air Force, but I've stayed in the community, and I still work at Vance. I'd like to say thanks for the opportunity to speak, and it falls right in behind what they were talking about, because first thing I got here at the end of 2005, I took over EGRT Enid Cowboys. I took it over from Mr. Sonny Lawrence, who's always stayed on and helped. He's like the godfather. And built the program back up. Over the years, that field over there, as we know, first of all, it's small, it's limited, the drainage runoff is bad on the fields. You cannot do anything to expand on it because you can't dig anything up because it sits on top of an old dump, from my understanding. So since I'm not from Enid, I have a totally different perspective on this. And since it sits on a dump, I've had to get bags of dirt myself and have some of the kids come over there to help us fill holes. I've also sat in on several commissioners through the years, Mr. Skaggs, and right now, where do you go? Oh, Mr. Ramsey in the back, and a couple others. And like I said, I've been doing it 2006 to 2019. I'm now in the middle schools over at Longfellow Emerson, and I'm helping them coach football. I've turned my team over, but I still help and reach back. I've also been coaching basketball in the system, in the school system for the middle school for 7 years now. I enjoy it. My kids are grown, and my wife and I moved out here. My kids were already out the house, so I didn't have to worry about them coming along. And people always ask, well, where are your kids now? Wherever they are, they're out the house, you know, that's it. So people are amazed because I spend a lot of time helping out because kids need something to do. They need something to do. There's not much to do around here. Like I say, the team participation has gone down each year. I believe it was the second year that I was in the league, and I don't know how we did it. Looking back, I don't even remember, but there's a 3rd and 4th grade league and a 5th and 6th grade league, and there were 11 teams in the 5th and 6th grade team, and there were 13 teams in the 3rd and 4th grade league. We had teams from Chisholm, Alva, Woodward, Timberlake, Wacomas, you name it. Over the years, it's hard enough to get them back. The participation has gone down so low as to one year when I was coaching, and let's see, he's a senior this year, so 6 years ago, in the 5th, 6th grade, in the 3rd and 4th grade, we only had 5 teams because we couldn't get anybody to come back. In the 5th and 6th grade, we had 6 teams. I had 2 of them. I had an A and a B team. The Raiders had an A and a B team. The Enforcers had a team, and I don't even remember who the other team was. The participation has gone down that low. Teams I want to call, I would get on the phone and I would help try to make calls to see what teams would want to come back in. And one of the guys said to me, "Are you guys still playing on those old raggedy fields over by the jail?" Well, yes, we are. We were promised new fields. They talked about it over at Crosland. Those fields were given away, I believe, for softball or baseball or something. We have no shot at it. No shot. Scoreboard issues. Like we talked about earlier, it seems like every year the scoreboards don't get checked until, and the lights don't get checked until maybe 1 or 2 weeks prior to season. And then there's issues. They go down during the season, they go out during the season. And it's always a problem, especially if you're a coach and you're trying to go for a winning drive down the field, and you got to keep checking with the referee whose clock is running, and he, you know, now that we're on both sides of the field instead of everybody on one side of the field, it's a little harder to get to the guy who's on the other side of the field. So it makes it a little harder. Even the football trailer that they have out there for Mr. Ramsey, where he sits at, it's a trailer. It's a raggedy old trailer. I mean, at least we have something, some type of office building, but the steps are rickety, they're falling down. And he has, if we have a meeting at 4, he probably has to go over there at 3:30 just to turn the air conditioner on so we can not break a sweat. It's embarrassing. When they brought the porta potties over there, they sat them right next to the food stand. That was horrible. They were right there. I mean, if this is the food stand, where Mr. Grant is, that was the porta potties. Who does that? You sink money into it on the front end, and it's going to cost a lot. Everybody's looking, oh, it's going to cost this much. It is, but you pay and make up on the back end of it. When the base brings these new aircraft in, everybody's going to jump on board dumping money into it because they're going to be remodeling everything. And that's the time you ask for stuff. And it's going to happen where they're going to sink $1 million. into programs. When they go ahead and say, you know what, I think we need some new desks too. Let's put it all under the funding of this. They're going to get new desks, chairs, papers, pencils, whatever they want. And it's going to be good for the next X amount of years. That's what we need to do here. When we have these teams that come in as well for tournaments, watch how much money we make. First of all, kudos to the soccer field, because that looks awesome. It really does. And it's going to bring in tournaments just like David Allen does. And people are going to spend money. When they come in for this and we see this, hopefully we'll say, you know what, we could be doing the same thing for football, and it will start to make the money. We need to relocate from that field, unfortunately. And I hear what you're saying about kids not being able to maybe make it over there. But as a coach, I used to have kids hanging out of my car. I go pick them up if they want to play. And we'll find a way to get them to the game. That makes it a little
Coach,
easier.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking out for my kids.
We make it a little easier. I used to have kids hanging out in my car, man, for real. And the thing about it is, as well, when we sink all that money into it and we start seeing the dividends, and I know you guys are on the board and I don't know how everything works exactly, but one of the things is when we bring these people in from town, are they going to eat? Because there's a lot of restaurants that keep seeming to close down or whatever. And that mall, where are they going to spend their money? What's going on with the mall? They might as well close the doors on it. And the movie theater, I'm waiting for another one to come here. I'm glad for what we do have, even though we don't have much or people complain about it or whatever. I'm glad for what we do have. I used to go to the movie theater. I didn't care if it was old or whatever. I just wanted the movie experience. And also, lastly, when we were over there, on the two fields for football, when you have the first games are at 6 o'clock, so you have two teams here, two teams here. They're warming up, they're ready to play. Now, the teams that play at 7:30 have to warm up elsewhere. There is no other field space. Over by the baseball field, over by the jailhouse there, and then up on the hill, which it belongs to private property, and there's holes and divots and everything else. There's been grass yay high. I've asked and gotten parent response through Facebook. Someone would come over with their mower and ride that whole field just for the kids. And it wasn't just for my team, it was for all the kids. So we have a place to warm up. And that's something that we need to look at. I don't think we need just two fields. I think we need 3 fields and maybe a good sized lot for other teams to warm up. And also, if you have 3 fields, you can get more teams here and you can get more games in at the same time. If you've ever been to the city to watch these games, they make money. We take an Enid team and go to the city. And when I first got here in 2000, at the end of 2005, Enid High School was going to a championship football game in that time. Not even close since. And unfortunately, it's because it all starts down here at the lower level, and you got to build it, and you got to build it up. There used to be police officers shutting the street down. I wouldn't dare near. If I had to go on base, I'd take the back way to go on base. But now, doesn't happen now. So that's just something that I like to say. I think I've covered everything over here right quick, but
Well, thank you for your comment.
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Norwood. She leave? Kevin Bidzinski?
Check.
Close. Kevin Bezicek. I'm the director of softball for EJRT. They forgot about me because I was a row behind. I'll give you a little of my background. I've been coaching softball for my daughter for about 8 years. She's about 16 now. So we play in California, Colorado, Perry, Elk City, Woodward, all phenomenal facilities. About 5 years ago, me and Kenny both took on the task of EJRT at the same time. I took softball, he took baseball, with the goal of improving it. Since then, I've increased participation by 100, at least 100 little girls. My number one issues that out of all this mess has been bathrooms. I have T-ballers falling into porta potties when it's 100 degrees. How do I explain that to a parent that's chewing me up one side down the other? Porta potties by a concession stand. Guess where mine are? By the concession stand, which sits right in the middle of the stands. Everybody smells it. It routinely does not get emptied. I have sent emails to the Parks Department to get it emptied because it's so disgusting. 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds are falling in. That's softball's number one complaint. That's our number one complaint. Now, and money-wise, can softball make money? 2 years ago, I brought in a tournament called Road to the Show from was a playoff, the World College Series. I brought 16U division here, 32 teams, none of them from Enid. Farthest ones were California, Illinois, and New Jersey. Sold out every available motel room in this town for the weekend. We sold out every bag of chips and Gatorade you could find in any concession stand or convenience store, because I talked to the guy who fills them. $150,000 economic impact. They will not come back. They said the facilities were subpar. They do not want to play there. And the city nickeled and dimed them to death to come here. They charged them for chalk, the chalk machine equipment use, the workers to chalk the fields. I have a 12U team. We do not play EGRT because of the field conditions. We travel. My 8 softball moms put up all the temporary fencing. We spent 24 hours and 2 days preparing the fields ourselves for that tournament. We don't mind helping, not at all. We don't mind helping at all. But then for them to nickel and dime those guys when they brought in so much money, they refused to come back. That was a lot of money that we just probably permanently lost, probably for 3 to 5 more years until we can upgrade and bring them back. Now, when it comes to field use, I have all dirt in fields, way more than he does. If it rains, I play. He doesn't. My field worker is separate. He's phenomenal. His name is Corey Cheslick for the Parks Department. Phenomenal. Will work with me on everything. He gets my fields ready. Absolutely valued employee. Absolutely valued employee. Love the guy to death. He doesn't have Corey. He doesn't have a Corey. But and a lot of the pictures you'll see in the package you were given were pictures I took last week. Me and Mr. Gilbert, Mr. Glenn from the Parks Department, and Mr. Buller from the Parks Department met out there with some parents last August. Several of those pictures are still unresolved issues from 11 months ago. The spikes sticking out from the poles that's going to slice a kid's head wide open. Liability problem on the city, not mine. That was pointed out then, still a problem. These issues are not, and this is simple as them going out with bending something to bend it, pulling those off. That's it. When we talk about parents wanting to do field maintenance, I emailed most of you. I was locked out of doing that by the Parks Department. I was mowing. Mr. Gilbert resolved that. He did resolve that, told them to unlock it. They want to volunteer to mow and work the fields, let them. We were doing it on our own time. Parks Department locked us out because that's my job. I don't want a parent doing it for free. Those are the problems we're having that makes nobody want to play here. We have an increase in the girls. The girls love the sport. It's huge if you haven't noticed. Softball's gotten huge. And we still are running them off. I bring in teams for tournaments from Wichita, Tulsa, and Oklahoma City all the time. They come once. Because when they get here, I have 2 fields and 2 fields 20 minutes apart. I cannot run a tournament and be there and there at the same time. I have to have gate workers there, concession there, concession there. It is impossible to find the people to do that. It's just impossible. But please, bathrooms. We need bathrooms. Little girls don't like to sit in porta potties. They really don't. So it's not all bad. Softball, we have 2 new fields that were done 3 years ago. Me and Mr. Morali made some adjustments to the engineering plans, saved the city some money, and made them very much more playable. We pulled the fences in, we rounded them off, we moved home plate. He worked with me very well on that, and they're phenomenal. They're not finished. There's 2 fields missing. The pitching areas, which is in some of your pictures, were never completed, so you can't actually use them to warm up. Now, EGRT, since I've taken over, we have invested money. I bought the scoreboards and donated them to the city out at Springs. We paid for those. I have power washed all the bathrooms 3 times in the last 3 years myself, I paid someone to spray paint them and repaint them completely, so they were nicer. We built the only batting cage in existence in the city of Enid at Crossland, out of our parents' funds where they pay their registration fees. The one concession stand we have at softball, the little blue wooden building, and we paid for that also. City did not pay for that. They did force me to put it in handicap accessible because that's the law. I paid another $2,500 to have that done. I gave the keys to the city of Enid workers. They keep their equipment stored in there because it's right there by their fields. We have paid for that. The yellow fence capping that goes around, it's a safety issue you're required to have. City bought it. Workers told me if they have to put it up, they're going to hide it and throw it away. Me and my assistant coach, who's another male, and 6 moms went out there one night, spent 2 hours capping all the fences because it needed to be done. It looks good. The city paid for the money. Let's get the work done. Not hide them because I don't want to do it. That was what I was exactly told by the Parks Department workers. We don't want to do it. We're going to hide them. They did buy scoreboards for the 2 new Crossland fields. Appreciate that. 14 months later, after they arrived, they were installed. 14 months of sitting at the city service center before they were installed. October to January before they were installed. That's a waste of your money. It's a waste of our tax dollars for 14 months because they didn't want to do it. Like I said, it's all not doom and gloom. I just wanted y'all to listen to me and give me a chance to talk. And I think I've covered everything I had there. I'll answer any questions you may have.
I've got a lot of questions, but I'm afraid we're going to waste our time on them instead of getting to work on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Haley Hudson?
Hello, my name is Haley Hudson. I've lived in Enid most of my life and been involved with softball or baseball here for a majority of my life. I would agree, and I was I was a T-ball coach for EJRT baseball this year, and I think we all can agree that the facilities need upgrades, but I wanted to give a little insight to how the league was ran for us this year. We decided to put a team together 1 month into the registration, 1 month before the registration deadline was up. So you had to register by the end of February. February 1st, we entered a team and we were told by the director, good luck trying to fill this. After I was told that, I considered it a challenge. I went to my kid's Valentine's Day party at Glenwood and passed out flyers and recruited kids to play on his T-ball team. He goes to Glenwood Elementary School, and we received 3 flyers, 3 emails about basketball signups. We received flyers and emails about soccer signups, soccer club signups, YMCA T-ball. We did not receive 1 flyer, 1 email, anything about EJRT baseball this year. Nothing at all. Most parents that I passed the flyers out didn't even know about the league. Along with that, which we also had 12 T-ball teams, and just imagine like how many other children we could get involved in the sport if we would send anything home to any of the schools. There was also supposed to be a Mother's Day tournament and several other tournaments that they were supposed to host for the 6U league. Those tournaments were posted information about them December 12th, before the registration even opened. There was no flyers at the ball field about any of these tournaments. There was no information sent home about them to any of the coaches. There was nothing said about these tournaments until 3 days prior, saying nobody signed up, so we're not going to have them. Another big issue we had was lack of officiating the rules of the game. We had umpires at 2 of our league games, 2, and they were 13 and 14-year-olds. And the rest of the time we were told to figure it out or just throw somebody out there. Our first game of the year, we spent 15 minutes explaining the rules of T-ball to the other coach. That trend continued throughout the season. It even becomes more of an issue when you have coaches who don't know the rules or just choose not to abide by them. Umpires are crucial to the game of baseball, and EJRT failed to provide those for us this season. I know it's easy to say that nobody wanted to do it. I myself was an umpire for EJRT when I was 15 years old and umpired for EJRT, baseball, softball, and high schools locally out of 10 out of the last 15 years. I got paid $20 a game for T-ball when I was 15 years old, and that's what they're still getting paid today. Even when we did have umpires, like I said, they were 13 and 14 years old, and they were too quiet or too intimidated by the other coaches to say anything to them, even when there was issues that had arose. So for the league, we have to pay $65 per kid and a $200 team fee. That's about $980 per team times 12 teams, roughly $11,500 that we paid for the 6 and under division alone. Where's all that money going if we don't have umpires? They didn't provide balls most of the time. Most of us provided our own tees. The facilities aren't getting any better. Just very curious as to where that money is going. I have an associate that I played with in Arkansas, and she runs the league there. They pay $50 per kid, and they pay their umpires $30 per game. They pay way less than us, and they're able to pay their umpires way more, and they actually have a lower cost of living there than we do here. I think that along with that, we had issues with making coaches and parents just follow the rules of baseball. It's very simple. But when you don't have an umpire there or anybody keeping these people accountable, it's a nightmare. I had kids I was graduating with threatening my mom, because she also coached, because of situations that an umpire could have easily fixed by not having it a questionable call and things like that. I honestly agree with everything about the facilities, and everything needs upgraded, but there was a mismanagement of the league, I believe, because we had no umpires. It was chaos all season. And there's even people who have voiced these opinions, some I know personally, on the EJRT Facebook page, or EJRT Baseball Facebook page, that were blocked and comments limited to who could comment there. But that's all I had for today. Thank you for listening, and sorry, it was all over the place.
Thank you for your comments. That's everyone we've got signed up for the public discussion. We'll move on to item 4, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. And 4.1 is to present the pet available for adoption. Looked to me like he was asleep.
I'm gonna say, welcome.
He's been snoozing the whole time. He's such a good boy. So I'm Christina, I'm the new adoption coordinator at Enid Animal Welfare, and tonight I have, Kevin, buddies, okay. I have Murphy, he's a little bit shy. Murphy has been out of the shelter for 25 days now. He is ready to leave and find his new home. He's probably one of the most laid back puppies I've ever seen. He's about 3 to 4 months old and a lab mix, and he's just ready for his new home. He's ready for somebody to come take him. He does sort of kind of know sit too.
Hopefully somebody will step forward for Murphy. Next, we'll, item 4.2, recognize the City of Enid Employee of the Month for June.
As always, this is one of the most, I don't know if this is on or not, but this is always one of the most happy things I can do. Joe, would you come up here? And Ashley? Ashley's representing Everett Glenn tonight as the Public Works Director. Joe works in our Fleet Management Department as a service writer and helps out in the warehouse as well. He has been chosen as our Employee of the Month for May, and he does a fantastic job. And I know that I'm probably going to spend some time with Joe tomorrow, because Joe is a very positive, uplifting person, and I think he's probably going to give me some counseling tomorrow after to help you with some challenges. So you have definitely earned this coin. And I forgot to bring your plaque down, so Scott's bringing it down right now and give it to you. But why don't you give us some of your insight? You've been with us for
8 years.
Gosh, I thought it was gonna be 4 or 5. Come on up to the microphone, your turn.
Guys, I know that sometimes the city gets a bad rap about some stuff. I have been fortunate enough to be around men like Joe Gilbert and Everett Glenn, David Hunter, Scott Morris. Scott's seen me at my worst, and Scott's seen me at my best. And we do have some people that care about their jobs. In my position, I see a little bit of everything. We have a lot of even police officers that care about their job. They care about the city. Firefighters. Ashley is a person that cares about her job. She wants to do the best she can. And I'm lucky to be surrounded by people like this. I am. But Jennifer, that is one woman you do not want to get on her bad side. She good people though. She cares about her job. She truly does. Jill, I want to shake you.
Well, you definitely have earned this. Thank you for the kind words about the city. We certainly have challenges. Ashley, do you want to say a few things? I've worked with Joe for a while.
I did. So I worked with Joe when he was in my department. He was a heavy equipment operator. Actually, Joe actually taught me how to operate a lot of equipment. So he taught me how to weld, which I thought was pretty cool as the first female to be able to do that. But I don't think I would have been able to progress in my leadership, plan if it wasn't for people like Joe. Joe saves my department hundreds and thousands of dollars in issues that might arise with my equipment. For instance, we have equipment down, and he might say, "No, that is something that we can handle in here. We do not need to contract it out when the contractor's trying to spend so much money." So Joe is a great asset to the city, and I appreciate him greatly, and I know a lot of us do. At the city. Most of our equipment wouldn't get fixed if it wasn't for Joe, so thank you. We
Thank you for
appreciate
what
it.
you do for us.
The next item is an appointment to the Long-Term Care Authority of Enid. And what we have is we have 5 current members on that authority. Charles Hoosier, James Crabb, Patty Harkin, Janet Cordell, and Nikki Carlston. And we've had no one else apply, and these 5 have agreed to serve again.
Yes, it is.
So we just need a motion to approve their,
Move to approve?
Second?
everyone vote. It carried 6-0. The next item is consider an appointment to the Park and Recreation Board. And we have one opening on that board, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people that have applied. And I'll read these names out, and if you're here and would like to address this board, step up to the microphone. Brittany Connor. Dennis Spencer. Michelle Richards. Stephanie Pendergraft. Jay Sharp. And Chad Neck. None appear to be here, so we just have to vote. Thank you. Okay. We're going to move on to item 6.1 while they're counting the votes. Item 6.1 is to conduct a hearing regarding the proposed creation of an increment district number 9, City of Enid, the Tachyon Economic Development Project Plan.
Good
You're up.
evening. Nate Ellis, Public Finance Law Group. This is the second of 2 required public hearings relating to the proposed Tachyon TIF district. This is the Chesterfield site that's just south of the Advanced Foods facility at 54th and 412. They're proposing to build a remanufacturing facility for wind turbines. And it actually will kind of work hand in hand also with the existing TIF District number 7 that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions. We had a lengthy presentation at the last meeting, so I'm happy to answer any questions, but this is really an opportunity for any members of the public to express their views on the project.
I guess the only question I would really have is, nothing has changed substantially since you were here last?
Correct.
Anyone else have any comments? Well, this is a hearing, so we don't have to vote. So we can move into the second part, item 6.2, which is conduct a public hearing regarding the proposed amendment of the Increment District number 7, City of Enid, and the TP&L Economic Development Project Plan.
And so we have an existing TIF district, number 7, that's the laydown yard that's at 66th Street north of 412, that you're probably familiar with, where you've seen all the blades and turbines and poles, whatever they're called. They're a little more substantial than poles. The proposal for that is to extend that term by 10 additional years, and it'll provide some additional funds for additional improvements to 66th Street north of Willow Road that'll benefit the project and the school district and the general area. And so again, second public hearing. With respect to both of these, the review committee has recommended both the new TIF and the amended TIF move forward. Planning Commission met last night and also recommended approval as well. Again, this is the second hearing. We've got ordinances for your consideration here a little bit later in the agenda.
Are there any questions? There's an opportunity to speak if you have questions about the TIF district. Anybody else have comments? This is a hearing, so we don't vote. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Every time on
Can you vote on the 2? Can't do that. Yeah, you vote on the 2 highest ones.
which one? All right, on the Enid Park and Recreation, we had a tie between Stephanie Pendergraft and Chad Neck. So we get to vote again. Each of these received 2 votes.
I think we need to.
I'm gonna read, just so that,
For the record.
for the record, Brittany Connor, she got 1 vote. Jenna Spencer got 1 vote. Stephanie Pendergraft got 2 votes, and Chad Neck got 2 votes. All right, we're going to move on to item 7, administration, 7.1. This one's kind of long. You got to read all this? Consider approval of an ordinance for the city of Enid, Oklahoma, the city, approving utilization of apportionment tax revenues authorized by statewide vote, adopting Article 10, Section 6C of the Oklahoma Constitution, and implemented by the Local Development Act 62 OS 850, approving and adopting the Tachyon Economic Development Project Plan and express intent to carry out the project plan, ratifying and confirming the actions and recommendations and findings of the Review Committee and the Metropolitan Planning Commission, creating and establishing Increment District Number 9, City of Enid, designating and adopting the Increment District boundaries and the project area boundaries, adopting certain findings, reserving to the city the authority to make minor amendments to the project plan, authorizing the mayor and board of commission of the city to carry out and administer the project plan, establishing a tax apportionment fund, authorizing directions for prospective apportionment of tax increments, establishing an allocation of use for tax increments, declaring apportionment fundings to be funds of the city, and limiting the pledge of apportionment increments to the increments actually apportioned by the city, authorizing the mayor and board commissioners of the city of Enid and a public trust designated thereby to implement the project plan, utilizing apportioned tax increments to pay or reimburse project costs directly and or to use bonds or notes, if feasible and desire to pay project costs, and to retire said bonds or notes from apportioned tax increments, providing for severability, declaring an emergency, and containing other provisions related thereto.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, vote. It is a 6-0 vote. We need an emergency.
Pass the emergency. Move the emergency.
We have
Somebody want a second?
Second. We have emergency and a second for the,
Norman.
Second.
vote. Cast your vote. And it passes 6-0. They all have it. Item 7.2 is consider an ordinance from the city of Enid, the city approving and adopting amendment number 1 to the increment district number 7, city of Enid, the increment district, and an amendment to the TP&L Economic Development Project Plan approved and adopted by ordinance number 2016-22 of the city, extending the expiration date of the increment district and increasing certain project cost authorizations, providing for severability, declaring an emergency, and containing other provisions related hereto.
Declare emergency, approve.
We've got to do 2 votes. We've got to vote.
Move to approve on this.
Second.
Cast your votes. It passes 6-0.
Now declare emergency.
We got to have,
Second.
cast your votes. Pass 6-0. Item 7.3, consider an approval of a resolution amending the 2021 Stormwater Fund budget by appropriating additional funds in the amount of $449,026.40 to increase the 2021 appropriated amounts for the Stormwater Fund's Stormwater Department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Cast your vote. Passes 6-0. Item 7.4. Consider approval of a resolution amending the 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant Funds budget by appropriating additional funds in the amount of $872,200 to increase the 2021-2022 appropriated funds for the CDBG Fund, CDBG Department.
Move to approve it.
Second.
Cast your vote. All right, back on the Parks and Recreation Board. Stephanie Pendergraph is the successful winner with Saragusa, Roberts, Stallings, and Orr casting votes for her, and Chetnik, the unsuccessful, got 2 votes from Allen and Norwood. And we move to item 8, which is a consent agenda.
Move to consent on all items except 8.9, which I'll abstain for vote on that due to possible conflicts of interest.
All right,
Second.
so we're going to vote on all items except 8.9 at this point on the consent agenda. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes 6-0.
I make a motion that we accept 8.9.
Second.
Cast your votes. And that's 5-0 with 1 abstention.
That was smooth.
Are we down to number 9? We're going to recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting.
All in
Six
presence.
of us are,
All in presence except for the mayor.
6 of us are present, except for the mayor. Enid Municipal Authority approved the claims in the amount of $195,178.28.
Move to approve.
Second?
Cast your votes. That passes 6-0. Adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. Trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting are all present except for the mayor. Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting, approval of claims in the amount of $17,500.
Move to approve.
Second.
Cast your votes. Passes 6-0. Adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting. Everyone's here except the mayor. Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting. Consider a resolution authorizing the filing of a grant application. Upon approval of said application, approve the execution of an agreement between the Oklahoma Department of Transportation Transit Program Division and the Enid Public Transportation Authority for the Section 5339A Bus and Bus Facility Grant Program for the 2022 program year.
I'll move to approve on the resolution.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. And it passes 6-0. Approval of claims in the amount of $4,371.17.
Move to approve.
Second.
Cast your votes. Passes 6-0. Adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 19, executive session. Consider convening into the executive session upon the recommendation of the city attorney to discuss the remaining unacquired property interest of the Call Lake Pipeline pursuant to 25 OS 307B4, negotiations to acquire real property interest for the Call Lake Pipeline, and the attorney/client privilege to engage in confidential communication between the public body and its attorney, because disclosure would seriously impair the ability of the public body to proceed with this matter in the public's interest and reconvene into regular session to take any necessary action.
Move to convene into executive session.
Second.
Cast your votes. Passes 6-0. We'll move into executive session.
All right.